This is Paul Scheer. You may recognize him from The League, Human Giant, and the Upright Citizens Brigade. He's also one of the hosts of the How Did This Get Made podcast, a show I look forward to every week. It's a comedy series that engages in lengthy discussions about some of the worst films of all time, including everything from Battlefield Earth to Winter's Tale. Recently, Paul made a comment that left me completely baffled. After reviewing the 1985 cult classic Life Force, the Piranha 3 Double D star decided to talk about a totally unrelated Nintendo Entertainment System game of the same name. This is the result.
Okay, here's the thing. Did you know that Life Force, the movie that we did about space vampires, actually had a Nintendo game? Yeah, they had their own NES game. You can watch gameplay of it on YouTube. So if you're bored at work right now, or you're on a subway car, or you're in your car, just start Googling. I don't care if you're driving. Google. Just Google NES gameplay Life Force. It's one of the shittiest games I ever saw in my life. It is amazing because you're just flying a little spaceship through that space artichoke. So lame. No boobs. No boobs in the NES game.
As you may already know, the game he's referring to is actually the American port of Salamander. This was a spin-off of Gradius, a wildly successful 2D shoot-'em-up franchise that I suspect Paul has played at least once in his life. And even though it was released a year after the movie hit theaters, Life Force isn't connected in any way. Hell, it's not even spelled the same way. But before you send the mocking tweets, Paul knows he screwed up. One episode later, he acknowledges that he goofed up and the internet set him straight. Everything is good, he learned a valuable lesson, and we can all go back to just playing games. But not so fast, because I'm not a big fan of him calling Life Force, and I quote, one of the shittiest games. Look, I get it. 8-bit games aren't modern. They use blocky pixel graphics to create simple objects and often have small characters. When a kid tells me they don't like the look of an old NES game, I get it. I disagree with them, but I understand why somebody who grew up with amazing 3D polygon graphics and HD visuals might have a hard time looking at Life Force. But Paul will be 40 next month and has already proven his classic game acumen. I expected more. Like a lot of 8-bit shoot-'em-ups, Life Force had a simple look, but players that stuck with the game longer than one stage were rewarded with some very cool innovations. For example, the 1986 shooter featured both horizontal and vertical stages, making this the best of both worlds for fans of shoot-'em-ups. I would also argue that the fire stage looks cool, even if nearly 3 decades have passed. It has a distinct visual style that you didn't see much of in 1986, and I think it nails the atmosphere. What's more, the bosses are genuinely creepy. The fact that the game actually has bosses probably should have been a tip-off that this is not based on a crappy sci-fi movie. Personally, I do hope everybody listens to Paul and they seek out YouTube videos of Life Force. And not just because they have a chance of finding this video. I want more people to discover the Salamander series, since it often feels like Gradius gets all the credit. If you watch the video and you still think it's the shittiest looking game you've ever seen, then clearly you've never owned an Atari 2600. Hi, thanks for watching the video. I know this is a silly subject, but I needed to do something light after spending a full month with the 30 ridiculous retro rumors. Speaking of which, if you haven't caught up on all 30 rumors, then I recommend you do so right now. There's even a link to the playlist somewhere on the screen you're looking at. It's a lot of fun, and it'll only take you an hour and 40 minutes to binge the whole thing. We'll be back soon with more reviews, as well as Nintendo Power's best reviewed games of 1993. I think that's the one we left off on. I guess you'll just have to stay tuned and find out. Anyway, make sure and hit the subscribe button and support what we're doing here. Until then.